in this corridor. It looks like it's full-on daffodil season still. Uh-oh. But, when you pan the rest of the garden, you can see that we've pretty much eased up quite a bit on daffodils. That's because we've had a dry, warm couple of weeks. Except for the last 2 nights dipped down to just above freezing. And slightly north of here, I hear we had like a hailstorm that ended up looking a bit like snow. It's Saskatoon and cherry in bloom still. And the latest daffs of the year are those ones. And they'll ripple on back because there's a green spot right there that has the same kind. It still smells amazing back here because these ruffly ones, oh, those are a little bit different than the other kind. And these are all scented. All the little multifloras were part of a small bundle of scented ones several years ago. Turns out this seed head stuff is all the food I ever get off this particular rhubarb, which is annoying, because there's quite a bunch in there. Yeah, so I guess I'm having grilled rhubarb seed heads again soon. The other types of rhubarb do a lot better. These are really quite hefty stalks. On the perpetual rhubarb I've got around the garden, I came through and harvested quite a bit off of these the other day. The other day being yesterday. Oh yeah, there's another one over there. I love rhubarb. Ooh, and there's one there too, so I could go harvest off of those because I forgot about them. Or at least try. See if they're willing to give me any. So, yesterday, I filmed an entire video after dark, apparently according to the light feedback. Then, it was light enough you could kind of see what was going on, so I thought to myself, well, we'll try anyway, and the upload failed. So, to me, that's my sign. And my sign is, we're going to do that one again. What I wanted to do a video on is leafing out. Bare root versus potted plant, and various species comparisons. So the idea here is we don't want to panic when your bare root plant doesn't have leaves yet, even if the same species, exact same species elsewhere, has a ton of leaves. So, 4 hazelnuts there, 1 in a pot. They're literally just sticks. 3 different thornless raspberries up there. I have more raspberries that do have thorns in a pot over there. And I have another hazelnut that's the exact same species and the only one of 6 that survived last year over here. So, let's just have a look real quick. This is what a very much alive, because it's super bendy, and these don't just flick off. The little buds aren't dead and crusty. So maybe the top inch of this plant is dead, and maybe not, because even this bud is very much attached. But they're small, and they haven't even really thickened up since they shipped. Let's go just take a look at the one that survived last year. And it's in very deep shade, so it's not a more sun kind of thing. An established hazelnut, the leaves are this far along. Okay, so that's something that is a really extremely stark contrast. You can also see that the cherry doesn't have a whole lot of leaves. And the Saskatoon has a lot more. And on this Saskatoon in particular, while this one's still an in-bloom cluster, and I'm trying to get it to focus, it doesn't want to, many of the rest are starting to actually form berries already on this bush. The other bush is fully in bloom. These were reportedly the exact same species, but you can see this one's a much taller and more aggressive version. It's the one sending off shoots. It's the one I'm going to replace the last section of the hedge with over time. Here you can see the hardy kiwi leafing up. It did really well this winter. It did really, really well this winter, which is great. You can see that the rhubarb's fully leafed out. You can also see that this cherry leafed up a lot earlier than the sour cherry did, just as a comparison. Here's another comparison. These two over here are basically the same species. Basically. You can see we have the sexually mature plant that is able to produce flowers, but it does have a decent amount of green growth. And then over here we have the bare root that I brought in on this one. And these are all poppies surrounding it. So this is quite a bit more growth, surprisingly, than the established legging jostaberry, whereas this one is a hedge form jostaberry. You can also see what rain does to some of these flowers. Throws them in the dirt. Here's another currant. A lot more growth on that again. So that's just a varietal difference. Look how pretty this is. I love that. So over here is another comparison. So you'll recall I have concerns with 1, 2, 3 raspberries that are completely dead sticks. And as comparison to them, we have this raspberry, which is thorny, which is why it's in a pot, and fully, completely leafed out. So let's go have a look and see that my raspberries up here are showing signs. Signs you couldn't see in the dark last night when I showed, and then failed to successfully upload at all. I tried. Look at this. Look. These little green bits are shoots. But the original stem died off completely. This big bundle of green here is definitely raspberry leaf pattern. It's really obvious that that's what that is. And then this one has yet to prove itself. But that shows that at least 2 out of 3 survived. And let's have another comparison very quickly. This is the invasive white mulberry. That doesn't mean its mulberries are themselves white. I think it's a flower color naming convention. And in the US, this is an Asian type of mulberry, and in the US it's very invasive. And then I planted a native mulberry down here. So you can see the tiny little bits of leaves coming off of this. And down here, oof. Not only can you see that a pawpaw, which is very much alive, or it wouldn't be bendy like this, is just a stick with no signs of leaf bud whatsoever. And then you pan over here, and our native mulberry, in full exposure, is really struggling at the top. However, inside this jug, it's starting to get constricted in there. You can see. So, a lot of that is the protection from frost and wind and extreme cold that this small jug is giving that. I can also see that this grapevine is starting to leaf up because it gets a lot more sun. And this grapevine that I'm trying to get up into the tree, by hopefully getting this to actually stay at some point, on the other hand, is almost fully dormant still. So we'll also end up seeing how that goes. The invasive honeysuckle, on the other hand, is a completely mature leaf pattern already. And the other thing that I'm wondering is whether or not the honeyberries were, in fact, fully leafed out at the time that they came. Maybe they were more acclimated to my climate, and I just didn't know. So, those are some interesting things to think about. How fast do things leaf up? How does bare root shipment versus potted shipment versus been in the ground since last year impact leafing? How does age of plant impact flowering? Most plants need to be at least 3 years before they flower, but that's not true for all plants, such as there's a second-year strawberry flower right there. And usually your bulbs will bloom the next year as well. These are all very fascinating concepts that it takes a while to not be frightened by the progress that your garden does show and to think everything's failed. So it's a Monday now, and I hope everything's going really well for everyone. Beautiful day. Slightly longer video. Hopefully nobody minds too much. And we're going to wrap it up by taking a panoramic look at the view again. You can hear the highway noise, I'm sure. I don't hardly hear it, but the phone picks it up almost like a garbling wind noise. The city's right there. Yeah. Happy Monday, April 22nd of 2019. Bye.